Hello everyone, here we are, we're back again. So I'm going to do something a little bit different today. As you can see, I've got my 3D program open. This is Shaper 3D and it's what I use to create most of the ClickyWalls stuff. And the reason I'm doing this video is because somebody asked me to do a video on it. One reason. The other reason is because I just want to show you how I use it, because I think a lot of people think it's more difficult than it really is, because some of the programs out there like Blender, Fusion 360, there's a couple of them, they're like really difficult to actually use. So they're great programs, but because they're so complex, it means that they're a lot more difficult to pick up and, you know, learn how to use it. What I always say to people, if you want to try a 3D program for the first time and you haven't tried anything before, then this is quite a good one to use, because it's quite intuitive really. It's easy enough to pick up. It has got its flaws, don't get me wrong, but generally it's a bit easier to use than most. So let's get into it. So what I'm doing, this is the Raven roofs, and what I want to do is I want to make a new one of these. So this is a full slope. So if you look, that's a normal wall there. This spans the whole width of a wall. So in order to have a roof on here like a normal roof, you'd need two of these, one going up, one going down the other side, like this. So and this fits on one wall, which is great, but what I want is this sort of size, but instead of a little slope like that, it's as high as one of these ones. So I'm just going to walk you through and explain to you how I do it. So sometimes we can build stuff from scratch. Obviously, you know, I had to start somewhere from scratch, but once you've got a lot of the stuff, you can just copy and paste and then chop and change it around. So for this one example, I don't want to ruin this, so I just press the copy, drag it over here, and then I've got a copy. And then this little one over here, I just select a little bit. I can't move that, so I have to click on this side, and that will select everything. So it's all the bits and pieces are in that folder, and then I can just do copy, and then I can just move that over here as well. So what I want to do, first of all, is line these two things up so they're in the right place, and you'll see as we go, you'll get an idea of what it is that I'm doing and the way that I'm doing it. It might not work, I might have to scrap it, but probably not. If I do, you won't be watching this video because it'll be pointless. So as you see, when I move this over here, I roughly lined it up, but if you're trying to line it up from here, you can do it to a certain extent, but what you need to do is zoom in really close, and if you leave the handles up there, it's difficult to do it because they'll be up there now and you can't get to them. So this took me a while to figure this out, but you'd move the handles and then it's easy then to line everything up. So now I know that they're exactly in the same place. Now we can make the alterations. So what I want to do is this little bar here, I want to go to the top. So I've got two options. I can either move the angle of this one and stretch it up, or I can move this one down and chop it. And I think I'm going to do that. So I'm going to move that. Now if I rotate this, it's just going to rotate around the handles, which are always in the center. So I don't want to do that. double click to select all of it. Now I'm only selecting this bar because that's just one object in its own right, and it's in this folder. So if I click that, it brings the folder down. You can see that's the body there, and then there's another one which is on the other side, and if you hover over it, it highlights it in blue so you can see, you know, what you've got. So like the bricks, and then if you click on it, then they highlight completely. So what I want is this one, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this handle up to the top here, and I'm going to put it in the middle. It's actually clicked onto the bit that I wanted, so that's good. And now I can rotate. You can only rotate at 5 degrees at a time with your handle. So I'm going to line it up roughly where I want it, and I'm basically going to do it there. I think that's good. Or do I need to move it back a bit? I think I need to move it back a bit. So I'll do, because it goes from 25 to 30, and say I want 27, you just type in 27 and then it'll set it there. I think that's better because that's more or less where that one is, and that one going to the top. I think what I'll probably do is, if I move this, get it on that angle there, I can just slide it up a little bit, and then I can crop that just to make it a little bit neater. So I'm going to put that there. Now I think I'm going to crop that off now, so I'll show you how to do that. So I'll select this plane. Doesn't really matter what plane. I tend to do the nearest one to me. In fact, when you've got all those other bits, sometimes it can be a bit distracting. So I'm going to select this little one, which is this one here, look, and then this one that I had open, and then I'm going to click this isolate button, and all that does, it just turns everything else off. So then nothing gets in the way. So I'm going to select that, and then I'm going to press R for rectangle, or you can do it here, look, by clicking it. But if you learn shortcuts with any of these programs, it's a lot quicker. Then I'm going to select that box, and then I'm just going to drag it across, and then what it'll do, it'll delete that. So this program works around extrusion. So you're building things by, you create a box, select it, and then you can drag it out, and then that's your box. But if you drag the box through something, it will automatically crop it. So you can see, so it's just chopped that bit off. So instead of creating a box, it's created an invisible box, if you like, and then anything within that box will disappear. So I've now got that where I want it. Now I could do the same to that, but that would be pointless because it's a lot quicker if I just double click this one and then click copy, and then I'll just drag it across, and then I'm just lining it up with that bit up the top there. That's the bit I'm looking at, just to make sure so it's in the same place as this one was, and then I can double click that and delete that one. Next thing I'm going to do is just get rid of some of these bricks. The bricks are in two sort of chunks. So in this folder, if I was to open this folder, I've got another folder, and then in that folder we've got all the bricks. So this way we can go in and chop and change things around. A lot of people will just blend all those together and create one solid object, because then it cuts down the compute, it makes it a lot simpler. I always leave them like this so that I can go back in later and change things, exactly what I'm doing now. So I don't need those bricks except this one. That one, hang on, let me just turn that one off a minute. I want this brick because there's a little bit of it there. So I've selected it, so now I just need to go through the folders and find where it is. It's there, look. Select it, make sure I've got it selected completely, and then I'm going to drag it down into this other bricks folder. This other bricks folder are these ones here. Look, so if I select it, it's now part of those bricks, which means I can now go back to these bricks and just delete them because I don't need them anymore. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn off everything except the bricks. Just have a quick look and then go back, put this body on, select it. Now I'm going to press L for line, and then I'm just going to draw a line through the middle of that, and then draw a box around what I want to cut off. So press escape 1,000 times to get out of that. And then we turn that body off. So now I've just got my bricks there, look. And then I'll just whiz that bit off. So now I've got that. And then we turn everything back on with our little eyeballs. And now you can see it's starting to come together. Now the reason we got this little one, if I turn that back on, is we've got this little shape here, and we've also got the height of this here. So what I need to do is, if I click that and then do line, because this point to this point, yeah, it's about 3 mil. So what I need to do is go up and be in line with this. Sometimes if you hover over the edge that you want to be parallel with, it will remember it and then line it up with it like that. But that's not lined up. That's well out. So I'm just gonna, I could measure it out, but I'm gonna eyeball it because it doesn't actually matter, and I can always come back later if I need to. I'm just gonna stick that there for now. I'm just wondering where it comes down on this bit here, and just looking, so that should be alright. So then what I'll do, I'll come directly down and I'll come all the way around again. And now I want to turn off the little one because I don't want to cut any of that away, and I just want to cut this away. Now it's right in the middle there, so if I double click that and then see if I can move it out like that, and then it'll be easy for me then just to push it in and chop it in half like that. There we go. So yeah, so that's not quite straight there. I can see that's a little bit out now. So what I could do is measure that. So that's about 2.8, and then if I do a line there and at 2.8, okay, that now gives me the line that I want to go to. Oh, like that. And then I should just be able to whiz that off. Now it's left that line there. We can't delete that line. It's easier just to turn it off, because if you delete it, that's the line that's created the cut that you've just made. So you have to leave all the sketches, but you just hide them. And over time they build up in your history here, and if it builds up too much, you get a little exclamation mark come up on this clock. And if you get that, your computer's usually gone really laggy by then. So it's better when you get to a certain point where you've made loads of sketches, you just come into here and then you just click the history button and you just say merge now, and then what it'll do, it'll just delete all the sketches and make everything solid, basically, all one piece. It means you can't go back and undo that, but it will speed your computer up. So there we go. So I've chopped that off. And what I've chopped off, so we've got the rebate this side, which is good. I just need to move that down a little bit to hide it. There, and then just make sure, no, so it's come out there, so I'm gonna have to do that a different way. Let's just undo that. I'll sort that out in a minute. And then this one, we should have a little bit of a rebate, which is what that little one was for. So we turn that back on. There's our rebate there. So I'll just delete that one. And then that's all the internal bit, which isn't going to affect anything. So that's good. And then I just need to check that line again, because I trimmed a bit off. I think what I'll do here is I want these to be lined up. I think I do anyway. Maybe I don't. I'll just turn that sketch back on. And then oh, this is all going horribly wrong. I've lost my bit there. Undo. Get it back to where it was. Let me just try this a different way. Right, let's just try that. So, go click on there, do the line. I want the line in line with that. And shift click that. And that's better, but it has cropped a little bit off of there. Like the smallest amount, created a little line, but it's not the end of the world. You won't actually see that in the print. It can be a little bit annoying sometimes. It niggles at my conscience when I know that there's a line there that's not actually doing anything. But that's a little bit neater. That's in line with that now. But technically I need to bring this back down. Hopefully it will oh no, hang on, I'm confusing myself. Let me just unisolate everything a minute. It's got to be in line with this, not this. Oh. Oh, well, I got the right angle anyway, so all I need to do is just bring that down. I hate it when it does this. When it does this, you have to go in really close. And then you can get a fraction of a mil. There we go. Right, that's correct now. Oh, that little line is in there. Ignore that. Yeah, that makes more sense because it's steeper. So what this is, in fact, I think I need to make this thinner, don't I? That's 4mm. I think that should be, that's 4mm. I'm sure those bits are 2mm. I think I made them smaller in one of the builds. I will check that later. That's an easy. So all I do is just run a line down and then just thin it out a little bit. Right, so now what we've got double bricks in here because we got the bricks from this one. So I'll just go down. Sorry, just looking at my camera and making sure I've got enough battery on there. It's fine. So I want that. I don't want that bit. And I don't want the bricks. So I can delete them. And now that should work. Ah, no it won't. I've got to sort this bit out. Best way to do this, if I select this, do rectangle, come in here and just do rectangle over those bits. And careful we don't go too far. That's it. Beautiful. So there you go. So as you can see, I've manipulated this into this, and it didn't take me very long. However, it might be wrong. I've got a feeling it is wrong. It's this bit here I'm not sure about. Let's stick one of these in. So this would be designed to click into this little crown that we call them, which is all part of the parapet system there. So we'll line that up. Again, I'm going to need to go in a lot to get this lined up properly. So that will click in there, okay. And then if we get one of these, oh, one of these beams, will that roughly line it up? So if anybody did like the look of this and would like to help, I'm always looking for volunteers to help me. I have got people helping out with various things, but I haven't actually got anybody doing this sort of side of it, which is fine. I'm coping alright on my own, but it would be nice having somebody else there to help out, especially when it comes to just, you know, going back in and tweaking something and finishing something else off, helping out. So let's grab this roof. Now I don't know what angle this will be at. I'll copy that because I don't want to destroy the original. Essentially we need that to sit on the top of there, up to there, and then if we put that on the bit that we want to rotate it around, I'll just move it over here first. So that sits up to about there, and then we got to move the angle of it. Oh no, I've done that wrong. Let's just pop that on there. So I need to move that about 2mm. Bring it down to it. Nope, that's too much. It's gone through it. Put it on there, so it's sort of like as if it's resting on there. So that's where it would be in real life, it would sort of like be resting on that a little bit. Yeah, and then that's not quite right because that's, hang on, the angle's out. Let's just go back a bit. And if you press this little button up here, it takes away all the perspective and makes everything flat, which makes it a lot easier to see. So 5, so that's probably going to be about 4 degrees then. And you can see now roughly where I'm out. So that's okay. That's about right there. But this bit that it's sitting on, oh, I'm inside. Oh, this bit that it's sitting on is not forward enough. So I'll select both of them and we move both of them at the same time. I'll move around here so I can see what I'm doing. I want these arrows to be in line like that. And then move that up. I'm guessing that's going to be 2 mil. No, 2 mil's going through it. The angle's not quite right. So I'll do it from the bottom. There, look, there it is. That was 2 mil out. So not too bad. That's about right. So in theory, I'll keep going in it. Hang on. Let's just select that and turn that off. And now we should bring this out by 2 mil. There we go. That's better. And that one. That's looking good. This needs changing because that's in the way. This ledge isn't high enough. Oh. So again, bring that up by 2 mil. And that should be about right. And this one, I can just bring that down about 1 mil by the looks of it. Well, it's not, that was a bit random, that bit, so I'm just right, so that's good. So let me just hide that. Oop. And then we should be able to just push that back. So it's inside the wall there. Actually, I want it lined up with there, don't I? Where's that bigger than that one? I've got a flat bit. That should be the same height as that. I'll just do that to there. And that kind of makes sense. Where's that jumping stupid? Right, there we go. That should work now. Just bring my little noggin back. And my roof tiles, which was that one. There we go. So that's sitting there nicely. So this would slide down and sit on there. That's a little bit out, but that's okay, because you want a little bit of wiggle room, because a little bit out there, look. you'll find that once we crop this down, so the other thing we need is this one and this one, which is that one. We need to move them this way by, oh hang on, I'll tell you what we'll do. This one and this one, and we'll copy it, and it should be 55.5, and then it should be up by 60. There we go. Yeah, this now needs yeah, no, that's alright, that's right. Because this, I confused myself because I put this here. So this one, what I should have done is not copied it, just moved it up. So this would be a normal connector in here. That sits on there. It sits on top like that. Yeah, that's good. Right. So now we've got this roof in. Now we know that it's going to sit into that. Do we need a bit more? No, that's not right at the top now, because it needs to go in at a bit more of an angle. Because this bit needs to fit into that bit, if that makes sense. So if I move this down, move this one down, just roughly. Oh, I should have done that side first, otherwise it makes it more difficult. It's easier to bring it back up than do it that way. Oh, gone too far. So this, when we get the angle right, this bit will just sit on there. So if you imagine that will touch there, so then the height of this needs to be below this bit. So we bring that down probably somewhere like that, and then I'll get rid of some of these tiles. Now these tiles, the best way to do this, if I select one of them, find the thing, click it, right click and isolate it, and now I've got rid of everything, and now I can just draw a box over it, and if I press tab I can just select the body, so I'm not selecting edges, so I can get that and delete that like that. So I might have to bring some more up, but I can sort that out later. What I just want to be able to do at the moment is just see where everything is, and I'm going to do that by now selecting this roof again and just changing the angle of it. So I want to set it on the bottom corner and then bring the angle of this down so it touches this. 5 is going to be way too much. So if I just hit 3, 3 is a bit too much. Do 2. 2's not enough. So 2.5. There you go. That's more or less touching. And we only want it more or less touching. And thinking about it, you know, I should have probably done it this way to start with. Get this in place, get that in place, figure my roof out, and then I would have known the angle of this instead of just guessing it and completely messing it up. But I'm learning while I'm teaching. Magic. Right, so then this bit, this is what this bit here is, the cutout that will fit behind this bit. So that will go there somewhere, I think. Ooh. And then yeah, oh, that's in there. So that can come right up to there, I believe. So this one can come right up to there, or thereabouts. A bit more than that, I think. Bit close. We'll have a little bit of breathing room. There we go. So let's just get this tile out of the way, and then this one, actually what I'll do, I'll just move these now, so I'll just turn that one off, click on there, turn that one off, and then we'll just move these tiles down. Nope. So you can see with this program, it's just about extruding everything. You just grab corners and push and pull until you get everything where you want it. And you can almost build everything from a simple sort of box shape. That's good. Right, so now now I've got to get these angles of this thing right, which now I've got the roof there. All you need to, I think what I'm going to do is hide this bit, hide the bricks, and then not that, that bit, and then that one. So this one now, what I need to do is select that and drop it into this folder. And so when I select this folder, everything is selected rather than it being in a different folder. And then I'll turn that off. Right, so that looks right. So now I want to get that one and that one. And I want to move this down to the lowest point, or the point that it's going to pivot on, which actually probably be that point. And then I'll just pull that down, and then I'll line it up without perspective. And then instead of it being 5 degrees, I could just change that to 3. Too much. 4. Not enough. 3.7. 3.9. No. 3.6. Pretty good. 3.5. That'll do. I think that would be good enough. So then we just turn these back on. So now I've got the angle of that right. I can then, and this is, is that, how am I going to do that? I think that's alright. Let's bring it down to the height of that bit. I might have to chop a bit of that off. Let me just look at that again. So that had a little bit chopped off. Yeah. Oh, wrong one. Get rid of that one. I don't want that one, it's that one. So what I'm considering at the moment, if you look at this, this is 60 high, and so is this. And it needs to be 60 high to put a beam in. Have I got any beams? Let's have a little look what I've got. Grab one of them. Move that over there. I'm just going to take this out of here and drop it, just so I can turn that build back off, because it's a lot of compute to display all that. Right, that was one piece anyway. So I line this up. Getting super close, make sure it's accurate. So maybe that is why this was supposed to be down here. I think that's what I've done wrong. I just went too high, so that should be 60 and that should be there. That's what I've done wrong. So if I just click that, and come back and sort these tiles out later. I just need to move them out of the way now. That's what I did wrong. That's what I couldn't figure out. I moved that bit up too much. So now if I just double click this, copy it, and then move it 101, no, 111 I mean, then I will know where to move this one back to. Get in here and do it. Here we go. So we just need to be somewhere like that. And then move these out the way. Oh, get out of it. That's it. Beautiful. Right. Now, if I bring back this bit, which was one of these, that's it, that one, and the cap, that one, what's going on there? Huh? I'm looking at this. Oh, that's a bit of the brick. I thought that was the tile sticking through. How the hell? I've already done that. Right, so that's that. That's fine. That's going to drop into that bit. I could extend that a little bit if I needed to. There's a little bit of a gap there now, but that should be alright. Like I say, you want a little bit of tolerance. And then this bit, I would probably bring this up a bit as well. Maybe bring that down like that. Yeah. We're getting there now. So if that sits on, let me just check that inside bit. Yeah, so that's sitting on there, that's sitting on there. It's this bit's, it's too big. Normally it's like a little bit like that. So why? Maybe it is this bit needs to be moved back. Maybe I was right after all. So if that comes up to there like that, that just fills that hole. It just means I've got to chop a bit of that off, which is not really the end of the world. It's just a little bit like that. Yeah, I think I'll just do that. So if I put, let's just get rid of these a minute so I can do some chopping without them getting in the way. Where's that one? Get out of it. Oh, this one's in the way now. So this one, and it's just that one. Just get rid of that. And then this one, if I do a line in line with this, so I'm going to go, I want to go from that bit there, I think, and then just, oh, I'm going to do that. Let's do that again. Line from that bit, in line with that. There we go. Right, and then what I need to do is hide that bit. Oh, I didn't finish it off. That bit. Hide that bit. Hello, there it is. with that bit, and then chop this off. Let's just chop those bricks off and that little bit down there. At least it should have chopped that bit off there, but it hasn't. Or just need to go this way. Oh, I hate when you get these horrible little bits. And then just needs a bit of tidy up. Get rid of that. There we go. That's a bit neater now. So that's one lovely straight bit there. So now if we no, it's not that. What is it? That one. So now I need to bring that sketch back and chop that bit. But that's going to chop that bit as well. So if I click that line, and then down here it'll tell me it's 4mm, which means I need to move this way. Nope. I need to move this this way. 4mm. Ching. And then we need to do the same this side. I'm not going to be able to move this. So if I go onto this and then try and move it, it won't let me because it's locked, because it's been used. So we'd have to move it like that, and I think we've got to move it 12mm, because 12mm is the thickness of this whole thing, which means it puts it on this face. And then you move it a little bit, and once you move it in the right direction, then you can just press 4 and then it will just chop off there to there. And now we can turn those off, and that is almost correct. Didn't have these bits in. Get rid of them. That looks good. That looks good. So now, sometimes those bits look like they're sticking out, but when you zoom in, they're not, but they are. Get them and just push them inside the geometry, and they won't get in the way then. Actually, that looks like there's a lip there as well. Look. Now, which one is wrong? That one probably. Yeah. And just move that out flush with that, and that'll be good. So all we've got to do now is just chop the height of this one off, which was, it's about 3mm. Doesn't really matter. I think it's 2.8. Let me just look what we got here. That, oh, 3.8. Near enough. So then all I'll do is, if I just do that perpendicular to that, 3.8, and that gives me my line, and then I'll just roughly 90 degree it on there, and then we'll do the same there, 3.8, and then roughly 90 degree it on there. And then line that up, and then chop that off. Cha-ching. There we go. Right, and there we go. We've got a brand new piece. Should work. And that's how you use shape art. At least that's how I use it. It's probably not the right way to use it. There's probably much better ways. But I'm just self-taught. I've done a few of the tutorials, and that's basically what I do. That's what I do. And now what I'll do, I'll test print it and then see if it clicks on. In fact, what I would normally do before I test print it is I would turn on turn the build back on, and then I'd just try it. In certain scenarios. So I'd just take something like this, pop it in, put the roof in, see if it all matches up, which I'm sure it will because I've pretty much done that. But I just like to have a visual representation of all the different options that I've got. And yeah, and then test print it. If it works, then I'll just roll it out to you guys. So a little bit of a different one today, but I thought it was worth doing. If you want me to do more, I'm quite happy to. Obviously I spend a lot of time doing this, and what I would go in and then change this one, take the bricks out, put the beams, the timbers in, do a timber one, do an under shack one, things like that. But yeah, cheers for watching guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.